Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 149 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name is Xander. And today, joining me for the first time ever is the one and the only, the record spinner. Dylan, thank you so much for being on the show, man. This is going to be awesome.
Dude, thank you for having me. And also, thank you for joining my channel on my little Kiss series. That was an absolute blast as well. So thank you.
No, absolutely. So everybody watching right now, go check out the Record Spinners YouTube channel. I was on episode 3 of the Council of the Elders series. It was a fantastic episode. It was almost like talking to a long lost brother. The fact that it's taken this long for us to be on screen is, it's taken way too long, but I'm happy that we're doing it now because as soon as I had the episode, or as soon as you and I did the episode on Council of the Elder, I was like, we have to do it and continue the conversation here on Kiss Army Things. So again, man, thank you for being here. And everybody, if you're watching my channel, you should already be subscribed to his channel. If not, definitely head over to the Record Spinner YouTube channel. He's almost at 10,000 subs. Dude, that's so awesome, man.
It's a slow climb. It really is. And that's all word of mouth. I don't pay for ads or advertising. It's just word of mouth. And I don't know. I'm hoping maybe by Christmas we'll hit that landmark. We shall see. Fingers crossed.
I think you can do it, absolutely. And of course, you're not just a Kiss fan, you're a music fan. So the wall of records behind you, goes from, I'm sure, spans all genres, all decades.
Not even that. It starts here and it wraps around the room and it ends in my closet right about there.
Wow. See, that's crazy. And we're going to be talking about, of course, how you got into Kiss, but I also want to hear how you got into vinyl and all that good stuff. But we're going to kick it off today with the Kiss Spotlight. Every episode, we always talk about the Kiss album that we've been listening to the most or most recently. And I'm sure you have maybe one or two to share. So what's the Kiss Spotlight for you this week, man?
Oh, so Kiss Spotlight. So you know what's funny? It hasn't been an official release.
Okay.
I have been listening. You know what? I have it right here, and I'm going to pull it and show it. I don't know if I showed this in the video that we did on my channel. I have been listening to this right here. This is called Alive, the Outtakes. Ooh. And what this is, I'll take it out of the plastic. This is a 1 LP bootleg of various recordings recorded from the shows that were done for Alive. Now, some of it is sourced from a King Biscuit Flower Hour broadcast from around late 75, which does have like some of the studio overdubs and such. So it sounds almost like a rough mix of sorts of Alive. And then there's some tracks, and this is a bit of geeky minutia.
Go for it.
For those that played Rock Band back in the day, there were some Kiss DLC downloadable content packs, and they actually used the multi-tracks raw, undoctored from those shows. And let me tell you, the version of Parasite on this, which is the undoctored version from Kobo, Peter Criss fucking owns the track.
Oh, man.
And little, I'll throw this out there. This is the last bit I'll talk about it. There is a recording from Cleveland of Let Me Know.
Ooh.
And when you hear it, it's imagine as if it was just part of the track list. It sounds just like it could have come from Kiss Alive.
Dude, that's so cool.
Dude, the sad thing is I paid way too much for this, but this was one of those kind of must-have essential kind of things. I mean, just look at it. It's awesome, and you get like a cool printed inner sleeve as well. Now, I have it on vinyl, but there is actually a YouTube rip of it as well. Just search up Kiss Alive Outtakes. You'll see this cover and everything. It is a fun listen. So that's what I've been listening to because isn't there supposed to be a box set coming out later this year? Eddie Kramer spilled the beans, maybe?
That's what I was wondering because I was like, I mean, I can see why you would get that because if it's using outtakes from the shows that were used for Alive, I mean, that's pretty well. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not really big into vinyl like you, so I didn't even realize that was out there, like some of those. Because I thought that, most of that stuff was still kind of like unreleased. And I'm assuming a lot of it is. That's why we're anticipating it for this Kiss 50th Alive release.
Put it to you this way. This is the box set that us fans have wanted, not for years, for decades. And it's astonishing that the vaults have been very tight-knit to where things have not leaked out. It's astonishing. I mean, we got a bunch of Creatures of the Night soundboards a couple of years back and still to this day. But yet, Alive shows, multi-tracks, whatever, completely dry. So I'm really stoked for that. Whenever that happens, I'm ready.
So do we know where those the songs, the tracks that are on that album, where those came from, and why those full shows aren't out, or do we know? That's so cool.
So there's a little breakdown here of like you can see all the little stars and the
Oh
asterisks
yeah.
and such. So like it kind of honestly the only track that comes from Kobo is Parasite on this, and there's a large bulk that comes from oh geez, Wildwood, New Jersey, which is cool. That's about an hour away from me. That's kind of cool. There's one from Cleveland. Then there's a mysterious recording as well of Rock and Roll All Night. It doesn't say where it was recorded, but that's out there too. And to be honest with you, I don't know if we had discussed this, but when this box set comes out, I am curious if it's going to rewrite the myth of Cobo Hall because us Kiss fans look at that venue as like one of the landmarks of where Kiss made their arena headline like debut, but also
Yeah.
Kiss Alive and etc. I'll be curious how much of that Kiss Alive came from Kobo because it's so hyped. This box set will possibly rewrite some history. We shall see. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken them this long. I mean, I feel like, they with the Asylum merch, they had that already done in advance, and then I feel like, what are they waiting for like the day of the 50th? Like, what are they waiting on?
I think they're going to wait for fall because here's the thing. When Creatures and Destroyer were done, Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can imagine if any, you know what now that I'm thinking about it, because we're recording this around early August, Creatures and Destroyer were announced around this time frame.
See, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, it could literally be any day now. I'm just kind of like waiting.
Any day. And when that news comes, I will need to take a day off of work and just absorb what is going to be in this and just hype myself and cry over it because it's been long enough. It's been a dry spell here in Kissland in terms of box sets and releases. So I'm ready for it. It's going to be awesome.
I agree. And I think this is one that could potentially creep up to the 1,000 mark. I feel like if they're going to do, what Kiss fans want, which is every single one of those shows on its own vinyl or its own 2-set, whatever, and with all the goodies they could throw in there. And because it is the 50th, I mean, they could put a hefty price tag on that. And I'm sure some fans would be willing to shell that out.
I will.
I personally don't think I'll be able to, which I'm worried about because I want it so bad, but I don't know.
Here's my thing. They better hold off on the vinyl for a while.
Oh, so you're thinking just CD first?
Do the CD because that's what they did with the other two.
Creatures.
They did CD first primarily. Yeah, they did a half-speed master on vinyl. They did some deluxe versions. That's all fine and dandy. But look, as someone who bought those stupid glow-in-the-dark sets, give us fans some time.
Yeah.
That's my one thing that I'm really hoping, because if they announce at the same time, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe if they do a CD set first, then maybe that one would be a little bit more lower of a price where people like me could get that.
If they want to be smart, give it some time, see what the sales figures are, and they can decide how big do we want to pull the trigger on something like this.
Yeah.
Because right now there's that Kiss Army sale on the web store, and you can get those vinyl boxes for like 25% off. So like, I don't know if they're just trying to push some dead stock or whatever, but we'll see.
Interesting. And just for everybody out there, you can get both the Creatures and the Destroyer box set on KissMuseum.com for less than $200. So
not
really? Going to plug my own. Yeah, I'm just saying. You can get there.
Yeah.
I think they're both open, but they're both complete. They're both real minty. So anybody who's looking to get those, you can get them on my website for less than $200. Or yeah.
From one Kiss collector to another, you can trust the source. KissMuseum.com.
Exactly. Now, didn't somebody say there might be a second Address to Kill box set or another one?
So it was.
I think Gene did.
Well, when was Gene ever 1,000% accurate?
I think a couple months ago, Gene on stage said there was going to be 2 this year.
Well, here's the thing. Announce them now, because what are they going to do? Put 2 boxes at the same time? Like
that's what I'm worried about. Like
that right there. That's dangerous. Mm-hmm. But personally, And look, I love Dress to Kill. And yes, it's the 50th. Yes, Rock and Roll All Night is on it and yada, yada, yada. It's hard to imagine a box set just for that record. Now,
Right.
maybe if they did a set for like Hotter Than Hell and Dress to Kill, maybe because those albums were so close. Or here's an idea: give us an originals box set.
That would be really fun.
And you know, it'd be
That would be really fun.
And do you know what would be better? Because ever since 1977, I think that was when they did the second pressing of it. It's never ever been reissued.
Wow.
So imagine spit polish those 3 albums, give us some outtakes, radio broadcasts, demos, live recordings, anything. If you put that in one giant box and you have the Alive box and you have Destroyer.
That's like the first original era right there. Yeah, you're right.
That's the Bible right there.
Yeah. Only time will tell. Hopefully Kiss that somebody is listening.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
But continuing with the 70s, now we're going to get to my Kiss spotlight, which is Rock and Roll Over. So right after Destroyer, I'm right there. I don't have it with me because it's all the way across the room on the turntable right now, but I've been listening to that. It's my 2014 re-release.
Oh, dude, that sounds
which is
excellent.
just awesome. A nice clean copy. It's brand new. I had it sealed for a while. I think maybe last year is when I said, you know what, I gotta crack this baby open.
Crack it open. You know what? It's funny. I was hanging out with my good buddy the other night, and we were jamming in his basement. And before he came down, I was just warming up on my guitar. I was playing Mr. Speed. I was perfecting it's the da 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 da. It's such a quick little lick, and I was just playing it over and over again. And it's just so fucking cool. I love that song so much.
Yeah, all those songs are great. I think it's always been a top 5, but it's just so all those songs are consistently great. The whole record front to back is awesome.
I don't know if we discussed it in the video that we did on my channel, but Rock and Roll Over has an integral place in my upbringing as a Kiss fan.
Ooh,
very integral. Very.
I like hearing that because we're going to segue right into talking about your Kiss history, and how you became a Kiss fan. So yeah, when I was on your show, you asked me, how I got into Kiss and how I became a Kiss fan. Well, I'm going to ask you here today, what is your Kiss origin story? How did you become the Kiss fan you are today?
Okay, so growing up as a very, very young lad, I was always subjected to music. My parents are music junkies. They met because of the Live Aid Festival from '85. They've gone on road trips to see Rush and Yes and all these bands. And then in 1997, they ruined the party by having me. So then they were domesticated for a little bit. But at the time, VH1 was one of the channels that was almost always on. And that was where I got like my first kind of taste of music. And at the time, there was that Carlos Santana, Rob Thomas collab that was pretty big, popular at the time. Chili Peppers had just put out Californication. There was all kinds of stuff coming out that I liked. But to kind of line it up with Kiss, VH1 was one of the sponsors for the Farewell Tour. And every day they would run segments like, oh, the tour is stopping here. You can get tickets here, blah, 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 blah. And, compared to everything else that I had seen, everyone else was just street clothes and whatever. I saw makeup. I saw outfits. I saw bombast. I thought, wow, that's cool. Now, what's funny is that I was, 2 years old at the time. Because of my vocabulary as a young kid, I couldn't pronounce my K's or C's. So anything that began with the letters C or K turned into a T. So instead of Kiss, it was Tiss.
Tiss. Okay, that's cool.
It was Tiss. So that was my introduction to Kiss, and I fell in love with them immediately. I remember summer before my 3rd birthday, because I loved the song Rock and Roll All Night. They got me the Greatest Kiss CD, mainly just because it had that song, and I would just replay over and over and over again. And then I remember shortly before my 3rd birthday, my father and I, we went to the local flea market. He would hunt down baseball cards that he was collecting at the time. I was looking for cassettes because I had a little Fisher-Price little tape deck that I would just bring with me. God, I think I had the Annie soundtrack on cassette. That was my go-to.
Oh, wow.
File. But a vendor had a cassette copy of Love Gun. And since then, that was that. But to kind of jump a little bit and go into Rock and Roll Over, I remember I would go to my uncle's house, and he had a vinyl copy of Rock and Roll Over, and I immediately freaked out because it was Kiss, and I would always nag him to play it. And for
Mm,
some reason, he would always start it at side 2, Love 'Em and Leave 'Em.
okay.
And I just freaking love that tune so much. And then I think it was Christmas 2002. He literally gifted me that old vinyl copy that he gave me, and that's if you guys follow me on social media or wherever, there's the home video clip of me opening up a Kiss record on Christmas.
Yes.
That was that.
That's that one. Wow,
That's
cool.
that one. And look, that reaction was genuine. That was just a wholesome childhood moment that ties into my Kiss fandom. So I've been a Kiss Army soldier. I would say close to almost my entire life. I jumped on the bandwagon at 2 and have not looked back.
That's amazing, man. I love that. I've seen that home video, and I wish that I had something like that because I mean, I've been a Kiss fan since I was 3 years old as well, but I don't think we captured anything quite as special as that. But I love watching that video because it's total 90s. I love the 90s home video where everybody had a camcorder. Everybody, it was before
it was
cell phones.
Filmed on Super High 8 or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah, my grandma had, a camcorder every Christmas, every Easter, every birthday, everything. It was always her with the camera, and then
that was my dad.
Hand it off to mom, and they would just between them, record everything. But yeah, I love how you said that. You got that copy of Love Gun. The Record Spinner's first copy of a Kiss album was on cassette. Is that true?
That's right. It wasn't vinyl quite yet. It wasn't.
But, it was. It was a cassette.
Yeah, it's a shame I don't have that cassette anymore. I played it to death. Hell, there's footage of me. Maybe I'll dig it up and spit polish it for YouTube. There's footage of me at my 3rd birthday party jamming out to Love Gun, and I got this little plastic toy guitar, and everyone would go, Gene Simmons, and I would just go, and just go absolutely nuts. And of course, and I'm bopping to Christine 16, Got Love for Sale, and you're thinking, this poor kid.
he can't. He doesn't know what he's listening to yet. He doesn't know.
To me, it rocked. That's all that mattered.
It's funny because you mentioned "Love 'Em, Leave 'Em." That was again Rock and Roll Over, one of my favorite albums. That's one of my favorite songs. But yeah, you don't realize the stiff proposition, and
I was just gonna say that
some of those lyrics. Like when I think of that song, I think of Kiss Extreme Close Up when Gene's, they were on the Don Kirshner or something like that, whatever the rock show was.
Yes.
And Gene's doing the whole head movement.
Love, yeah.
It's so funny. And of course they're lip syncing it, and Gene's just Gene was always real extra whenever he did performance lip syncing. It was so extra. But yeah, I love that, man. That's fantastic. I gotta ask you this. What was it like in school growing up as a Kiss fan in the 2000s? Because I can have, I have mixed stories with, being a young Kiss fan, but I'm interested to hear what your experience was like growing up as a Kiss fan.
To be honest with you, I was a lone soldier.
Yeah.
I did not connect with anyone that was a Kiss fan back when I was young. It was always me. For me, I was that fan that would bring their Kiss books to school just to have that fandom connected with me. And that's not to say that it was hard for me to make friends, whatever, but just there was no one out there. I didn't have access to what was it, MySpace at the time to connect with Kiss fans, or even Facebook. So I was very much kind of by myself in that. And also I'm an only child, so it all just kind of fueled all of that as well. But but to me, it was kind of special though, because it felt like, those were my guys. And I still feel that way to this day. I was talking to my girlfriend about it. Anytime you run into someone that has a Kiss shirt on, or they ask if you're a Kiss fan, the hairs on the back of your neck kind of stand up, because, and it's not if you're a Beatles fan or a Pink Floyd fan, those are the general picks, but for Kiss, it's special. So for me, it just felt like that genuine one-on-one kind of connection with the band at such a young age. So I kind of got on by fine, but I was by myself. Hell, even I was so locked in with Kiss fandom, as well as just old rock from the 60s and 70s. Someone asked me around mid 2000s if I knew who the Black Eyed Peas were, and I was like, who? And they were the biggest freaking thing at the time, or at least one of them. So yeah, so I was very much in my own zone, and I had no complaints whatsoever.
Were your parents big Kiss fans as well, like diehard Kiss fans, or were they more just like casual Kiss fans because they were like rock band? You know.
So my mom, no. My dad, he grew up as a fan in the 70s. He saw them at the Tower Theater in Philly in 75,
Oof.
which was a couple weeks before Kobo. He saw them, and then he saw them in 78 in January at the Spectrum in Philly on the Alive 2 tour. I think at the time he was the guy, like, he loved the music, he dug the shtick, he bought Cream magazine and such. He never got into like the dolls or anything like that.
Sure.
So, and I think like when they went, disco with Dynasty and such, he kind of jumped off a little bit. But when it comes to the 70s stuff, he was so locked in. Like my dad is a 70s hard rock junkie, so he was a fan then. And I like to think that for myself, kind of taking the gamut and going full throttle with Kiss fandom, he kind of helped me because to tie it all in with vinyl, he had like a couple of totes of his old record collection, and he had Kiss Alive and Alive 2 and Destroyer. So seeing those as well, like these were objects of wonder. That was my
Mm.
earliest exposure to vinyl, and I'm just like, what is this? This is nothing like the CD that I have on my little shelf. Like, what is this? It was pure wonder. The vinyl format, and to see them on it, and plus you have the gatefold of Alive 2 with all the explosions, you get the booklets and shit. Like it was beautiful. It was so beautiful.
That's awesome. I love hearing about this, man. This is so awesome. So, one of the things that was, I guess, new for our generation was when they did Kiss Alive 4, the symphony orchestra, right?
Yep.
Do you have any memories of watching that or listening to that? Because we got Psycho Circus when we were really, really young.
Yeah.
And I can kind of think back to when that was coming out. But obviously, after the farewell tour, you're like, okay, well, there's, Kiss, they're on the farewell tour, they're going away. And so with Kiss Alive 4, it was like them sort of like coming back in a way and doing something big and different. What's your memories of that?
So I remember at the time I was seeing like newspaper ads for it, like promoting it. And the thing is, I didn't have internet in my house at the time. So how I got my news was kind of very colorful. It wasn't like an instantaneous like gratification of I can go to Google and get it. I
Right.
remember hearing all about it in the summer of, what was it? 2023, I want to say, around summertime. And
Yeah,
I
oh 03, yep.
remember that summer, because I live close to the Jersey Shore. I was on the boardwalk with my dad, and we actually stopped in at a little music shop, and they had a CD copy there. And I remember
Nice.
it was like, and do you remember like back then, like going to Best Buy when you were a kid? Like that was an event, and the plan was
Oh
we
yeah.
were going to go out to the Best Buy that was 30 minutes away. We'll get the new Kiss CD. But then I was on the boardwalk. I said, screw it, early access. So I picked it up then. But I remember my sixth birthday in 2003. That's when I got the DVD.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's when I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So, and I had kind of accepted that Psycho Circus may have been it. But, Alive 4, Kiss Symphony, like, that has a soft spot because, like, before we got things like Sonic Boom and Monster, this was the first Kiss product in general that we got as new product as young fans. So it has a special place.
Because one reason why I'm also asking is because at this point, obviously Tommy Thayer's in the picture, and so I'm
Yeah.
wondering, did you have that idea, or did you have that wonder of like, where's Ace, or what's this Tommy? Who's this Tommy guy? Or was it just like, who cares? It's Kiss, you know?
So what's funny? Look, when it comes to the makeup, I knew off the bat Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. I knew that. And when I saw that, when you open up the CD, there's that photo,
Yeah.
and Tommy Thayer sitting on like a road case or whatever, and he's wearing the makeup. He has the Alive outfit, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, that's not Ace. Who is
Mm.
that? But it wasn't the adverse reaction like some fans are. And I didn't like look down upon it or whatever. I just thought it's Kiss. And maybe being a young fan helped enable me to accept that a little bit. I mean, I give all the props to Eric and Tommy for carrying the flag and waving it proudly for the good part of 20 years, which is why Kiss sustained that long. But for me, like, I saw it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I'm like, you know what? It's Kiss. Like, whatever. I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah, I had this thing where I was like, I just couldn't wrap my mind around like where Ace was or why Ace wouldn't want to be there or why he wasn't there. And Dad was just like, look, he's either sick or he's not there or he can't be there. So just enjoy it for what it is, or move on. And I was like, well, I mean, does it look like Kiss, sound like Kiss, feel like Kiss? And even with the 60-piece orchestra, it was like, oh, this is the most Kiss ever. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Those, I love listening to that because it still blows my mind that they pulled it off in the way. I know Metallica did their S&M thing,
sure,
but hearing Kiss music set to violins and strings and all that is awesome.
And not to mention, I mean, yeah, it's a great combo, but the arrangements were great. And it wasn't just they were carrying the main vocal melody or whatever. Like, they really augmented that material to fit within the orchestral mold. And I believe the guy that had conducted and did all those arrangements was David Campbell. Props to him. Like, he literally took those songs that were, let's imagine it like a painting. It's two-dimensional. He just made it 3D with all these other counter melodies and counterfoils and everything. And it was perfect. It was
I like
so
the way you
ambitious.
mentioned that.
It's so great.
Yeah, I was never really into, classical music like that, but Same. It really makes you appreciate that kind of music when you hear Kiss. Because David really, like you said, brought out some of those elements in the music that you don't really hear and made them in a way that was like just so amazing and new and fresh,
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome.
But now that we're in 03, so in 04 we get a switch, because now Peter is not in the picture anymore. Now it's Eric Singer. And if I'm not mistaken, your first show was on the Rock the Nation tour in 05, correct?
04, yes.
04. It was in 04. Okay, for 04. Sure. So do you know at this point that Eric Singer has replaced Peter Criss, or what? How did you know that?
That, that's a very good question. And to be honest, I think I went to the show and was lost in the spectacle that it just didn't matter. But you know what else too? I'm going to kind of backtrack a little. Sure. One of the integral pieces of my Kiss upbringing was the Beyond the Makeup documentary, which was their sort of behind the music kind of thing. And I remember at the tail end, the narrator says, due to failed contract negotiations, Peter Criss once again left the band. Eric Singer's wearing the trademark, Catman makeup. So I had already seen Eric Singer in Peter's makeup, which I thought at the time, like, first impressions, I thought that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. And then again, like I said, no internet, whatever. I had no idea that Peter's contract wasn't renewed. And that they just got in Eric Singer. I went to the show just expecting the unexpected. And then when, they started it off and I saw Eric there, I'm like, it didn't even matter.
It's Kiss.
It's Kiss. Yes.
It's such a wild time. And the reason why I'm asking so much about this is because I can think back to, again, not knowing, who's in the band, who's not in the band. Is there even a band at all? Are they on tour? Are they recording? Are they not? It was such a wild time because obviously nowadays we have social media where things it travels all across the world in one night. But even back then, I felt like if you were an adult Kiss fan, you still had connections. You still had ways of knowing people talking about this or that. You still had, there was still Kiss online and things like that. But if you were like us and, you were like 10 years old, you were just, at the mercy of the universe. You know what you know and you don't what you don't. And that's just the way it is.
I think I mentioned this in the video that we did on my channel. But for me, as I got older and Sonic Boom was coming out, I would go to Best Buy and just go on the laptops that they had on display and just go on the internet on whatever browser and get my Kiss news from there. And then it's like, oh crap, they recorded 6 tracks so far, and one of them's called Rotten to the Core. Like, fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, that's how I got my fix. It was a very colorful way of going about it, but listen, you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, for real. I love that story of you going to Best Buy and kind of sneak on the laptop. I have a very similar one. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the show or not, but I'm gonna tell it here because it's very It's very 2000. So did you guys have a computer lab at your school?
I got it.
Just
Probably, yeah.
just a room where like you went to do
Just a
computer
bunch, yeah.
projects. Yeah, because eventually when I graduated high school, all the kids below us got their own personal computer, their own iPad.
Oh,
And I'm like,
wow.
what in the heck? So of course, growing up in the 2000s, you had to go to a certain room in the school where there were computers. And for projects, whenever the teacher would walk around, I'd be doing my project. And then as soon as they would walk away, I would
Minimize.
minimize, go to kissasylum.com, and I'd be scrolling through looking at whatever it was. That's how I found about the Kiss Expo in Indianapolis. I
Oh,
saw that.
wow.
Sonic Boom, the new Kiss album. So it was like, yeah, going to Kiss Asylum in the middle of class, sneaking off into the computer lab was
Oh,
kind of my version
hell
of that.
yes. Oh, that's tremendous. I love that.
And it's something that you could only if you were a 2000s Kiss fan, because again, you either had your own iPad after or before there were no computers, so it was like you had to be right there to sneak it. Like you had to do what you had to do.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there were computer labs like when I was in middle school, but back in like elementary, like fourth and fifth grade, they would be like a station of like 4 computers in the classroom, and you would just switch up and hop on
Yeah.
it. And listen, I may or may not have gone on Kiss Online real quick just to see my guys, see if there was anything new. And I'm like, all right, silly project time, let's go.
Right. Yeah. I just love that. That is so cool. But now we're getting into, like I said, Sonic Boom. So we finally hear that there's a new Kiss out, the first one in 11 years. So
Yeah.
what's your first thoughts and what's your memories of that record coming out?
Oh God. I mean, I remember the day it came out, October 6th. I think this was back when new releases were coming out on Tuesdays. And because it was a Walmart exclusive, I literally went to my local super Walmart before I went to school, had my Destroyer t-shirt on and grabbed it, brought it with I listened to like the first 2 songs on the way to school, brought the CD with me to school just so I can hold it, went back, listened to the whole thing. And I've told the story so many times. I saw them on that tour, which was kind of like the Alive 35 US leg. I had the
Yeah.
flu. I still went to the show, and it was absolutely tremendous. And again, kind of like similar to what I was saying with Kiss Symphony Alive 4, first studio album I'm living to see come out as brand new. And look, we don't got to decipher and break this down. Light years better than Psycho Circus, both musically and also internally, like the internal politics that were going on. I mean, because that record was the Gene and Paul show with a cast of characters, whereas with this, it was 4 guys, no outside writers, producers, etc. It was just them. And I
Mm.
think that is what makes that record 1000% genuine. I know a lot of people like to dog those records, but listen, when it comes to Kiss, they know what they're doing and they're going to go about how they're going to go about it to get there. And I think they
Yeah.
succeeded on both Sonic Boom and Monster.
Yeah, when they released Sonic Boom, I mean, I know obviously it was the first Kiss record, so they could have put anything out and I would have been happy, but it was a genuine moment just listening to that album and going, oh my gosh, because for years they said no more. And I made peace with it because I was like, yeah, I mean,
Same.
Psycho Circus was such a nightmare. Like, I wouldn't want to record another album anyway either. I totally get that. But with that one, it was like, I'm so proud and so happy that they got to record an album that, yes, like you said, was authentic and genuine and real Kiss.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I don't know if they wanted to intentionally rectify that whole stigma that Psycho Circus had, but I think whether it was just the fear of wanting to do another record, or maybe as Gene and Paul have always been stating, the state of the music business. It's look, neither of those records went gold or platinum or whatever, and obviously file sharing and Napster and stream yada yada yada. It's all played into it, so maybe after like things like Monster, it was a personal choice. They said, yeah, what's the point of doing this? That this is the business model, because
Yeah.
and if you know anything about Kiss, it's their rules or nothing at all. So we're lucky that we got 2 more records in general.
Oh,
So
yeah.
and I mean, dare I say, Monster for me, top 10 Kiss record.
Yeah.
It's top 10.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. Do you like Sonic Boom more or Monster more?
I think if you want like here's the thing. If you want Kiss to do AC/DC and just make the record that they have made before, Sonic
Mm,
Boom is your answer for that. Because
yeah.
you could put that on and think, is this like a rock and roll over, Redux, kind of deal. However, I think musically, arrangement wise, and everything else, Monster is a sonic emphasis on sonic leap.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, if I had to pick the better one, I think Monster would probably be it. But I still will defend Sonic Boom to my dying day. Still.
Yeah, I love both those records, but I have to agree. Monster, it felt like, the chains were off and the leash was loosened. It wasn't, let's keep Kiss, doing Kiss. It's like, let's just be our own Kiss. Like, to me, Sonic Boom felt like them, again, going back and returning to their roots. Whereas
Yeah.
Monster was like, okay, now that we've established where we've been, let's go where we're going and let's just do a 2012 album.
I mean, I think you described it best. Sonic Boom, they wanted to make a great Kiss record, which they did. Monster, they wanted to make a great rock album,
Yeah.
and they damn well did it. They did it.
I think Tommy's playing on Monster is kind of like Bruce on Revenge. Tommy had always done great. Bruce had always been great, but for whatever reason, where they were at on those records was just intense. Tommy's playing on Monster is just Eat Your Heart Out, The Devil Is Me. A lot of those tracks are just ripping.
Yeah, I think he also I think in some ways came more into his own himself personally as a player. I mean, yeah, he wears the spaceman makeup. He learns Ace's licks, and maybe the solos are a little Ace inspired in some places. But I think he came into his own tremendously on Monster and made his mark there.
Agreed. Yeah, Sonic Boom definitely has a couple, and I think it was intentional, a couple of like verbatim Ace licks that make you feel like you're, back in 75, 76. And then, yeah, with Monster, it was like just, again, the chains were off. That's all I can think about. It's just them coming out of their cage, being loose and ferocious, and just they were just faster and looser and heavier on that record.
Yeah, they got to play more freely, I think, which was beneficial for them.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about vinyl now. We've already gone through and talked a little bit about how you got into vinyl, but getting a record when you were little is different. Entire room that's wall to wall, floor to ceiling. So how do you get from A to B, my friend? Where does vinyl become like your obsession, if you will?
Oh gosh. So you know what? Timing is very ironic because when I started to get into vinyl collecting, that was when the 2014 reissues had come out. Now
Okay.
it wasn't because of that though, because I remember at the time they were retailing like 35, 40 bucks or so. It was a little on the high side, so it was kind of an apprehensive thing for me. But to be honest, to kind of go off on the Kiss topic, I got into vinyl because of Jack White and everything that he's done with his label Third Man Records. I love the White Stripes. Anything that man has done, I love.
You and Jeb would get along very well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jeb loves Jack White, Third Man Records, and all that. Yeah,
dude. Like, I mean, and the thing is, like, that label, from a physical standpoint, they push the boundaries of the format in terms of what you can do with it. I mean, yeah, a record is a record. It's the same technology that it's been for decades. But, pressing things on X-ray film and triple color records, tricolors, and just doing all kinds of wacky shit. I was like, hell yeah, that's cool. So I remember the first record I bought, and funny enough, my second favorite band next to Kiss is Pink Floyd. The first record I ever bought was a Pink Floyd BBC radio bootleg.
Ooh.
Because I love that early Syd Barrett shit so much.
Cool. I like that.
So that was my first. And then I remember, in terms of Kiss vinyl, specifically for the collection, because I do have some, other Kiss pressings I have off to the side of like notable vintage stuff, but for the main collection, I remember Christmas 2014, some website, I can't remember what the name of it was. They had a special bundle of the first three. So the debut, Hotter Than Hell, Dressed to Kill, and I got all those for Christmas back in 2014. And that was the start of my Kiss vinyl collecting journey. And for a long time, it was just a matter of getting whatever the reissues were, plus some other notable things. So that's kind of how I got into vinyl collecting and how Kiss plays in. But for a long time, I wasn't a nutty Kiss vinyl collector. Not to say that I had checked out at any point, because I never really had, but I think there were more exciting times to be Kiss fan than others. Let's just say that. And like I said, Pink Floyd was a band that to this day, I still love and am really big into. But I was really knee deep into Pink Floyd vinyl for a while. And then, because Xander had asked me to bring some examples.
Yeah, buddy.
This is what made me start the descent into madness.
Ooh, Kiss Chronicles.
Yes. This is Kiss Chronicles 1973 to 1993. This is an 11 LP multicolor vinyl box set. Now, at the time, because again, I love collecting bootlegs. I think that's something I inherited from my dad. At the time, there was a website called RollingRex.com. They're still around, but they've streamlined. They're like a brick and mortar store. They sell regular shit. But that was the one place I could always get unofficial stuff from within the States, because all of this comes from Europe. And this was the big kahuna on that site. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then sure enough, PayPal credit, 6-month plan. I got my hands on this.
That's great.
I mean, to be honest, at the time, I think something like this went for like, all right, keep in mind, 11 LPs. It's limited to 350 color wax. It was like $250.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You got shows from 76, 1980, 84, 86, 92, and 93. Dude. And it comes with a nice insert, number certificate, and I was like, all right, this is a cool thing to have. We'll slowly build it up. And then Chronicles 2 comes out. And then all these other releases start coming out. And you start kind of checking around. You're like, oh, this is a really good soundboard recording. Oh, this one's audience, but it sounds all right. And before you know it, when you're signed up, when you're signed up to Brian's Kiss Vinyl on Facebook, you basically have you could have bought a car for what you've spent through that site. So getting a bite of the Kiss bootleg bug is it completely detracted me. Like, I still like it's funny. I just bought a Roger Waters live set today of Roger Waters of Pink Floyd, but like from then on, Kiss vinyl was the focus. Yeah. Like within a snap. And ever since then, I mean, God, we're going back 2018, 2019. Since then, it's been a long descending road of madness.
I love it, man. I love that you mentioned the 2014 vinyl boom, because for Jeb and I, it was right around like 2009, 2010 when we started collecting vinyl.
Yeah.
And it was like you could go to maybe one or two stores. But then, and all of a sudden in 2014, it was like, by then, yeah, I mean, of course, Kiss did their entire catalog re-release, and then you had other new artists who were releasing their albums on like 180 gram, and there was gatefolds again. And then by 2016, 2018, Target and Walmart have it. Here we are in 2025, and you can still go get it. I mean, it was like bizarre watching all that happen,
Yeah. And you know what else too? Like, it's an interesting thing, because like back then, before this boom happened, you can get a copy of Fleetwood Mac Rumors for $1, $2. These days, 25, 30. That's used originals. And at that point, you might as well just get a reissue for the same price, brand spanking new.
That's a really good point. When we were at the expos in Indianapolis, I mean, Jeb and I every year would make it an effort to, go to the vinyl and just spend as much, him especially, just get as much vinyl as possible. And you could get a really good used copy of any Kiss album for like $10, $15. And I still have all the stickers. I still have all the stickers on mine. It's like you could, like, for $100, you could get a whole stack of records. And now those records are like, like $30 to $50 a piece. It's crazy.
Now $100 gets you one record.
Yeah, what you're going for might get you exactly, absolutely right. And it's just crazy to think that how that happened. But I mean, I can't help but think that we're a part of that. Just again, the love of Kiss, the love of rock and roll music, and then of course vinyl.
I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, and it's crazy too, because obviously it was kids our age at the time when we were younger buying it up. Now I'm ringing up high schoolers that are buying freaking Chapel Roan or whatever the hell is booming right now.
Right, yeah.
It transcends. So now I'm kind of seeing it in reverse, and I feel like, whenever, I don't know if there's a theoretical idea on when the bubble will burst, but if it keeps going in the way that it's going, it seems like it's here to stay.
Yeah.
If it ever retreats again, I don't know. I mean, that'll establish a pattern. You can only imagine when 8-tracks make their freaking comeback. I'm kidding.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's a wild time. It really is.
It does make you wonder about the whole vinyl thing, because I feel like, even if it does sort of where the stores quit selling it, it's going to become an underground thing again, which is going to, I feel like, be more of like a collector's. I mean, of course it still is, but it's going to be less of like a wide consumer thing and more just like peer to peer.
Here's the thing. I think the vinyl revival, it's peaked, I think. And I think we're riding this either even wave or it's slowly going up, because you can go to Kohl's and go buy a record there and a turntable, albeit one of the suitcase ones, but we're not going to talk about it. But like it's gone to that point where you can go to any average store and there are records there. It's a wild thing, and like you had said, Target, Walmart, doing their own exclusives, and here's the thing, like, yeah, like it's niche because it's big box retail and it's the war against the small guy, whatever. But like, if you're a collector, that's heaven. Like if you're a Led Zeppelin fan and you want to get all the Walmart exclusives because they all come with little backstage passes and shit, you're gonna go nuts over them, because that's the thing. Hell, even the couple times Kiss did Walmart stuff, I stocked up on all of it.
Resurrected.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Resurrected with the color splatter, and then there was the Kiss World exclusive.
There was Love Gun
Love
on
Gun.
the splatter. Then there was the Icon compilation. That one's fun. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting. Like, if they ever, whenever this Alive thing gets announced, if they even just do a remaster or whatever, if we can get the Walmart exclusive back, that'd be wonderful. And
I'll be there at Walmart. Yeah.
And yes, you can do your Kiss Online exclusive and do the bundle thing with the shirt. Listen, I'm one of those poor suckers that does bite the bullet on those things. I hate it. I hate it.
I mean, you got to get it. If you want it, you got to get it.
And then I just sell the crappy shirts. It's fine.
There you go. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. You get your record, somebody else gets their crappy T-shirt. Exactly. Everybody's happy. Exactly. Kiss Online gets their money. So yeah.
Exactly.
That's how you do that.
That's right.
So my next question. Oh, wait, go ahead. You said you want to say something. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think I'm good.
Oh, you're good? Okay, for sure. I thought you were going to say something else. I don't want to cut you off.
No.
My next question naturally goes to YouTube. So you're a vinyl collector, you're a Kiss fan, but what makes you go, you know what? I want to share my passion of music, of Kiss, of records with the world. So where does YouTube come into the picture?
So I started collecting in 2014. And I was watching some vinyl YouTubers for a little while, like just general people that were collecting, some people that were purposely making content as content creators regarding the vinyl format. Hell, I've fallen victim to watching guys like Vinylize and things like that, like turntable basics, kind of thing. I mean, look, I was young. I was getting into the hobby. But then over time, like, my collection was starting to grow. And look, this is what it's grown to. I think right before I started my channel, my collection was maybe 8 or 9 cubes.
Wow.
Maybe. So it's been a long time brewing. And
wow.
I think I just decided, I was like, you know what? Why don't I start this channel just as a means of expressing my love for the format? And I remember I kind of approached it as like a New Year's resolution thing. Like, I started the channel on January 1st, 2018. And every Friday since then, I have been doing content. Now, to kind of tie it in with, like I was saying, big into Pink Floyd, and then my Kiss vinyl focus started to shift a little. I think around the time that I got this box, because I unboxed it on my channel years and years back, that was when I started to get the idea to do some Kiss content. And the fandom, and obviously, look, you have a podcast platform where you can express that fandom. And it shows, and it's successful because of that. And it's come to the point where, and in some ways it's frustrating because look, I don't target my channel as a Kiss channel. Yes, you're going to
Right.
get your share of Kiss content, but if I do a video that's not Kiss related, I know what the result is, and it's like, okay. But when I do a Kiss video, I know what the result will be.
The views, you mean? The result? Like
Yeah, the views.
the views are more
Um,
on Kiss videos. Yeah.
yeah, the Kiss stuff always does well, whether it's showing off the
Huh.
bootlegs or doing like 5 Kiss records that are blah 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 blah. Like anything regarding that band just is gold for me. And it's not an issue to make that content because I love it. But it's not angled to be like a Kiss channel per se. But obviously, I've done my offshoots to tap into that world because I do my Council of the Elder series, where the powerful and attractive man to there was on. But yeah, but then anyways, like as I was saying, like, started to shift my focus into the Kiss content. I remember when COVID happened, I did some videos on Kiss Alive because that was celebrating, I think it was the 45th anniversary. And then like things like that just started to roll. And it's still rolling. Like I still enjoy making that Kiss content, and the well never runs dry. And that's the great thing. I think that's why I've been as consistent as I have been for what, 7 years or so. It's been
7
great.
years.
7.
Wow. I like hearing about that the Kiss videos get the most views, because I think that if you were to ask somebody on the outside, you might think that the Kiss videos would get the least amount of views. But I think it's interesting that I mean, do you think there's a reason why the Kiss ones do so well? Do you think it's the algorithm just pushing it to Kiss fans, or do you think that maybe just because Kiss vinyl is always so extravagant that maybe it just draws the audience in naturally?
It
I'd
could
like to
be
hear about this.
it could be algorithm. I also just think that people know me as the Kiss guy.
Yeah.
In terms of, and look, I mean, there's a lot of Kiss vinyl fans out there within the vinyl community and such, but in terms of those that are purposely making Kiss centered vinyl videos, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there that's watching, I think I'm the only one. So people kind of get off on that, and you're right. Kiss vinyl is extravagant. Like
Yeah.
hell, even things that were these were afterthoughts back then. But now that I think about it, I'm like, I might as well do it. Anytime those anniversary drops happen, like
Hmm.
Asylum or Unmasked, I unbox the limited edition color LP. Because the thing is, people scoff at it for the price, which I understand because I hate bundling it with the merch and everything. But the thing is, they still they still like it enough to see it.
Oh yeah.
So if they're not gonna fork up 90 to $100 to get a record and a T-shirt, they'll watch some guy that forked it over and do it, which bleeds into like with things like unboxings, like
Hmm.
those videos for me in general, not even Kiss related, but like I just did a Rush unboxing not too long ago, and it's tremendous because people love to see what they can invest their hard-earned dollars into. So that's I know the pockets where there's the most change. So,
Yeah, yeah. You seem to know what your audience wants, and you're on top of that, fulfilling something that even if they didn't get it, you got it, and you can share that with everybody. I
yeah,
like that.
absolutely. And plus, too, like even with the bootlegs, like not even just on YouTube, but because of that, a lot of people reach out to me and like, hey, what do you think of this one? How does this sound? And look, I am not the Kiss bootleg guru. There's far more seasoned fans and collectors out there that know much more than me. I'm just one of you watching
Yeah,
all
we're
Kiss
just
Army.
fans.
I'm just one of you guys. But it is a major compliment when someone trusts your word and buys a, a high value pressing because of your kind words about it or what you think of it. So it's a humbling kind of thing. But also, again, like I said, I'm one of you guys. I'm just a nutty Kiss fan that just happens to love the ins and outs of what this band entails and what's out there on vinyl. It's a cool thing.
Absolutely, man. So you've shown a couple of really cool things. Do you have another like holy grail you want to share with us?
Yeah, I got some cool things all that I will share. I know
I
I showed
imagine you guys.
I I know I showcased the Alive outtakes, and I know that we had briefly talked about Kiss Symphony Alive 4. Here
Yes.
is my original copy, which I had purchased this a couple of years ago. I was on a trip with my buddies in St. Louis, and it was one of those things where at the very beginning of my travels, I said, I want to find this just because I didn't have it. And it was in a display case for like, I don't know, it was like 150, $200, whatever. And it was one of those things where I'm just like,
wow.
I was like, oh my God, yes, I need this. I need this. And like my friend filmed me like the guy getting it out of the display case and he literally threw it on the counter because he didn't care. And I'm just like,
oh no.
And I'm like, holy shit, Grail has been acquired.
In the wild, though, man. You found it in the wild. See, that's better than just like I add to cart and then wait 3 to 5 business days for it to ship. Like, that's so cool.
And that's the thrill of the hunt right there. And that's why
Bingo.
us vinyl collectors, we love to shop. So that's one of them. Like I had mentioned, I am one of those nutty collectors that goes after the Kiss Online exclusives. This one, I think, is one of my most highly coveted. This is Greatest Kiss.
I should have got that. I missed out.
Oh, dude. So
I missed out.
So for all you Kiss fans out there, Greatest Kiss got a vinyl pressing back in 2014 for the Kissteria box set, which was at the time that came out when the 2014 reissues were coming. But you got some exclusive pressings that they didn't do breakouts of, and this was one of them. Now the anniversary was what, 2022? So okay, that was some anniversary, but
yeah, it was a couple years
they
ago.
yeah, so they did a colored vinyl pressing of it, and I immediately jumped on this. And hot take, best Kiss compilation.
Oh, really? That's your favorite? Okay.
I think so because yes, like the track list is weird. It's random at moments, but here's the thing: you have the casual fans that get their fix. You get things like Detroit Rock City. You get Deuce, I Was Made for Loving You, Strutter, Rock and Roll All Night. But then for the diehards, you get things like Going Blind. What else is on here? Plastercaster, Flaming Youth, Two Sides of the Coin. Like, it's solid. I think it covers all the bases here. So this is a fun one. Here's actually a cool, not exactly a bootleg. It's official, but it's a weird kind of release. For any of you Tommy Eric fans, I think you'll like this. Check this out. This is a Live 35 live at the Download Festival in Donington. Now, this was put out by Concert Live. Now, Concert Live was the company that was recording the European Alive 35 shows, putting them on CDs, selling them after gigs, but they did a vinyl pressing. Now, the story goes is that they only pressed up so many of these, and because of shipping, it's rare to find one in very good condition, like with no dings or any tears or whatever. Like, yeah, there's like a little bit of corner action going on there. I don't know if you can see that, but otherwise, this thing is beautiful. Now, they do cut out a lot of like Paul stage raps and things like that, so it's a bit, they squashed on the 2 LPs, but like this is easily it's a $150 to $200 record, somewhere around that ballpark range.
That's awesome.
Just because I have them here, I think I may have shown these in our video. I'll show them to your viewers. These are some of the recent bootlegs that have been coming out. Brian's Kiss Vinyl on Facebook. And you guys will dig this. We have Tokyo 1978. Now Kiss did 5 nights at Budokan in Tokyo from 78. This is the first night, which means this is indeed part one of a 5-part series of all the 1978 Japanese shows. So this is cool. And I don't know if you can really see, but like the blood has like a glossy finish to it. Like the cover is matte, but you see the blood there. It kind of shines a little bit, and you get like booklets and posters and shit. And then another one that come out. Now that's an audience recording, and it sounds good if you kind of prime your ears. But if you want a really good Creatures tour release, check this out. This is Houston Killers. This is soundboard from Sam Houston Coliseum from March 1983, and it sounds tremendous. So these are some of the new things that have just come out within the bootleg circles. And I mean, look, you're lucky if you have good sound quality in terms of soundboard, or if it's audience and it's rough. The packaging is always wonderful. I mean, just come on.
It looks fantastic.
It's beautiful. So yeah, I love that's my angle with Kiss collecting. I love collecting this stuff.
That's awesome, man. I'm seeing so many cool. Yeah, I don't really get into too deep into the bootleg stuff. So every time I talk to you or I see your channel or your video, there's like always some kind of new, cool, neat bootlegs. I love looking at it, man.
It's listen, like I said, I got bit by the bug, and I kind of regret it, but also I love it at the same time.
So at this point, is there anything you're still after?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I would say official Sonic Boom.
Okay.
I have 2 unofficials of that. I would love to find. Oh God, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I would go nuts after. There's several things. I'm really trying to think. There's a lot of bootleg shows I'm after.
Bootleg shows, okay.
There's one show in particular from St. Louis '76. It sounds horrible, but if I get that, I'll have every single recording on vinyl from summer '76.
What? Oh my gosh.
Dude, because
wow.
I'm looking right now. There's Jersey City, Anaheim, Cleveland, Toronto, Springfield, and then I think St. Louis is the missing piece.
Wow.
So 6 shows. So I'm needing that.
Here's one. You need a copy of the first album without Kissing Time. Or do you have that already? Oh, never mind. He says, check already.
It's there with my 2 blue tier rock and roll overs.
Nice. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah, I'm looking at my collection and wondering, is there anything that I'm going nuts after? Because again, like I said, like these days, like when the Kiss Online drops come out, I get those color pressings and they're upgrades to what I've had previously, so I swap them and trade them. But then honestly, it's just keeping on top of new product that comes out off the soundboards, box sets, and obviously the bootleg stuff. And there's some cool stuff in the works, I can tell you right now, in terms of the Kiss bootleg vinyl world. And you have to keep your eyes peeled.
Oh, I'm excited. I like hearing that. Very cool. Well, the last topic I wanted to talk about was your experiences in New York City, because you were there December 2nd, 2023, when Kiss took their final bow on the stage in the makeup. So
yeah,
talk to us about that experience, man, because I didn't get to go. I wanted to go, but I want to hear your story.
So it's funny because when I first saw the End of the Road tour in 2019, it was always I approached it as, this will be the last time I see them or whatever. And then they came back and did a second US leg in 2021. And I was like, yeah, that would be a great way. But then I'm like thinking, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. And it was one of those things where if I didn't succeed, it wouldn't have broken my heart. But, I would have gave it my shot. So got my tickets. It was a hellish experience getting them. I paid way too much for my nosebleed, but I was in the building.
You were there. Yeah.
But yeah, and it was the thing where it's like, listen, I need to be there. So went to New York that day, and it was literally as if Kiss took over the city. Between the pop-up shop, you had the newspaper things that they were giving out, and then doing the early merch stuff, and then even just like going to Tenney's 23rd Street and seeing the Loft, or going to the corner of Dressed to Kill a shot, which they just torn down actually.
I heard that the post was taken away.
Yeah, so like it was cool to get out and see that stuff, but not for anything. The best part, like, yeah, you saw the show, and look, I'm one of those fans where I went into it expecting the regular standard show, and maybe that's why I'm not as, I guess, jaded about the last show as perhaps some other people. But the thing is, the fans are what made it special, because I met so many people that I had recognized from online, people that I connected with. The guy that gave me my start in journalism, he was a massive Kiss fan. I met him at a pub just before the shows, just before we went. So like it was cool to meet people and see faces that you knew from other podcasts and just just people that you just recognize just on an online only basis. It was a really cool experience. Did I cry? Yes, I did.
Absolutely.
And then I had a funny experience with a camera crew. That was fun.
Oh yes, talk about that. What happened after the show? Yeah.
So at the end, when they shut down the escalators, which that was bullshit. That's all. Ask anyone who was there. Ask anyone who was there. That was bullshit.
Oh
And
man.
the herds of people are leaving, and golden tickets are given out or not given out, depending on the source. I saw lights and a camera, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'm just gonna weasel my way over and do this. And I signed a form saying like you consent to whatever happens with this. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And they wanted, because they obviously announced the avatars, and they wanted some firsthand reactions and like thoughts. And what's great about it, yeah, like if you go peel back on Kiss's Instagram or Facebook, you'll see me for a split second talk about it.
Yeah.
But what's even better, listen, this is kind of corny. I made a t-shirt. And it said, "Do you watch The Record Spinner?" And you had my face inside the Rock and Roll Over Saw Blade, holding a copy of Alive. Like it's my channel profile photo.
Oh yeah.
Had that on there. It said, "Do you watch The Record Spinner?" with a question mark. I turned around and it said, "Now you do," with a QR code.
Marketing 101, baby, right there.
Oh
Perfect.
God, it was creative. It was creative. You know what? A little funny story there. I wore that shirt when I went to see Kiss the Hollywood Bowl the month before, because I went to California for 2 shows. And I wore that shirt, and I was taking a picture in front of this Kiss van. It was like decked out in flames and shit. It was a cool little display thing. And I'm standing there, and this woman's walking right in front as I'm getting my photo taken, and she was probably whatever. And I guess her husband goes, "Honey, watch out. That's the fucking Record Spinner. He's famous." And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Wow. Nice.
I don't know about that.
Oh, he is now.
Oh my God. And I'm looking at my friend who's taking the picture. I'm like, what just happened?
That is so cool. So you were with your friend. So you weren't alone or by yourself. You had a friend with you.
All right. So when I went to the shows in Cali, because I stayed with my friends who live out in California, I saw the shows in Cali with them. New York, I was by myself.
You were alone for New York.
And that was the only Kiss show I actually had went to all by myself. Because other times, like I brought my dad with me, I brought, whoever. But
Sure.
that for the last show, I was like, I need, this is a Dylan night,
Yeah. Well, you said that when you were a kid growing up, you were kind of on your own and, by yourself. So it felt like, now you're going at, the last show, just you, it started with you and it's going to end with, of course you have the fans with you, but it's a personal thing.
Yeah. Well, it's even funny, like all the other times I'd seen him, like the first time on Rock the Nation, then Alive 35, whatever. It was always like my parents would bring me to shows. And then then it was my dad and I, and we would always go. But to kind of tie it all in, and if you want this to be a firm thing to wrap this up with, one of the great things about that New York experience was, I know I talk about the shirt and everything. I wore a Kiss beanie. It came out in late 90s, early 2000s. It was like a very thin red and black striped beanie, and it had the Kiss logo embroidered on the front. I got that for Christmas when I was 3 years old. And I wore it with me to the Garden. And it was like a little piece of that kid came along for that show.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing.
Yeah, the hat is somewhere. I know it's somewhere. And there's pictures of me wearing it when I was a kid, but the hat is somewhere.
Man, it's funny. My dad bought Jeb and I each a Kiss beanie, again, around the early 2000s. And I had that thing with me until I was in my early 20s, and I actually think I left it at a restaurant. I fell out of my pocket on accident, and I didn't know until I got home. But I lost that. My first ever official piece of Kiss merchandise that I ever had, and I think but I ended up buying the very same exact model or the same version later on the line. Yeah. So I still kind of have it, but just the one.
That you just unlocked a memory for me, because I remember everywhere I used to go, I would always bring Kiss books with me or Kiss CDs. Especially like when I was like 2 or 3, it was always Kiss CDs with me. I remember I went to a restaurant with my family and I left it on the booth,
Oh,
and one of like the waiter or whoever came running out of the restaurant returning the CD. So I'm
that's
like,
nice.
God bless.
Wow, that's really cool.
I completely forgot about that until now. I'm just like, oh shit, that also happened.
What a cool story, man. And we could probably keep going with stories all night long. I mean, it
Oh,
was like an
dude,
hour and
yeah.
a half on your channel. We're an hour and 15 on here. So it's like, we could keep on going. But man, thank you so much for joining me on my show just to talk Kiss and
Thank
share
you.
your
Thank you.
history. I love it, man. It's so cool.
Seriously, thank you.
So as we're wrapping up, talk about your channel, what you're going to be doing on the channel, what you got coming out. Give us a little teaser as to what can we expect from the Record Spinner.
Okay, so for anyone out there that wants to see what I do, just go on YouTube, search up the Record Spinner. You'll see me again, rock and roll over Saw Blade, holding up a copy of Alive. I post videos every Friday on a myriad of topics. I do artist discussions, collection showcases, I do unboxings, record store vlogs where I visit different record stores, all kinds of stuff. And I always do 2 Kiss uploads per month. Whether it's showcasing some Kiss vinyl or something Kiss themed, there's always Kiss content. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter/X, Facebook. I'm trying to dabble into TikTok a little bit. It's kind of weird. I'm
It's
trying.
weird. Yeah, it's weird.
Listen, I will make Kiss talk happen somehow. And I will say this, because we were talking about Kiss shows and things like that. Because obviously the day that this episode goes up on Kiss Army things, if you go to my channel, I uploaded something that I think a lot of you fans are going to love, and it's something that has never ever been seen before, that I've been sitting on for years. So what is it? Go to the Record Spinner and find out.
It has something to do with something in over here in this area right here. Yeah. Something. Oh, what was that? A teaser? I don't know. You have to go over and see at the Record Spinner
Something.
YouTube channel. But that's where I'm headed after this on Sunday. That's where I'm headed, is to your channel to watch your special project, because I love watching all the cool stuff you do. We should have mentioned the vinyl tag that you did, that you started the Kiss vinyl tag.
We completely missed that on my video and almost this one. So we, us Kiss content creators on YouTube, got the ball rolling on, what was it, the 2025 Kiss vinyl tag. So it was myself, we had Xander of Kiss Army Things, Rick of It's All For You Demon. We also had Brent from In My Head, and Glenn Walker, Tales of a Kiss Geek. And we all submitted, I think it was, what was it, 10 prompts? So we each did like two total. Each. And we named them after Kiss songs. It was like, showcase your Kiss whatever, or show this whatever. And it was a real fun thing. And some other channels and content creators and podcasts jumped in on it. Because I had done Kiss vinyl tags in the past, and I think I skipped a year, and that's when you took the helm of it on your channel. And then I was like, why don't we shine a light on these Kiss content creators? Because let's face it, and I think this is where our role, I think we need to keep in line, because Kiss is no longer here. We no longer have the band as it is. We keep the flag flying high.
Right.
From this point on into the future.
Absolutely.
The fact that after December 2nd, 2023, we still have lots of Kiss things to talk about, shows how much we are invested in this band and how much that fandom could never possibly die down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even though the band's retired, you and I and plenty of others, we're still shoveling coal into the fire, keeping that flame burning.
It's our job. We have to.
It's literally, it's my full-time job now too. It's both of ours.
I'm so happy for you, man. Taking the realms of kissmuseum.com. That's tremendous.
Yeah, I feel like, again, you and I, we have a duty to, share our passion, share our love, because so many Kiss fans before us have done it. I think back to Bill Starkey in Indiana, starting the Kiss Army. Here I am in Indiana, continuing it. Like, it's part of our blood, our life. It's everything. So, yeah, it's great to have you here talking. Thank you to everybody who's watching. be sure to check out the Record Spinners YouTube channel, his little special project he's working on, and then also check out his new series, Council of the Elder.
Yes.
I was just on. He's going to have some other people on, some other familiar faces on. So yeah, check it out. There's no shortage of Kiss content between you, me, and all the other channels. And love getting my Kiss fix. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Dylan, for being on the episode, the show.
Thank you, Xander. Thank you so much.
And I'm sure there'll be times in the future we'll get together and we'll do this again. So thank you, Kiss Army, for watching Kiss Army Things. We'll see you next time in episode 150. Until then, my name is Xander. That's Dylan the Record Spinner. This is Kiss Army Things. You guys take care. Rock on and peace out.